So I sort of had a go at trying to not, I'm talking more about, the Rogan children lot. That could be like, I guess Rogan himself, but also Friedman, Trigonometry, Chris Williamson. Unfortunately, a little bit of the Petersons, the Jordan Petersons, but I tried to like outline what their kind of ideology is in a way. So biggest thing of their ideology is the subscription to the idea of the free market of ideas, that all people are arguing and speaking in good faith, and we should just have an honest, open dialogue, whatever that means, and the best idea will win out.
Yeah.
Literally sounds like an American propaganda film from the 40s, doesn't it? Like, this is how government works. All the politicians correctly voted for by their constituents go and have civil conversations, and they all agree and sign a bill, and everything's happy and government works amazing. Really is the same sort of thing, right?
Yeah, it's a kind of workshop idea. How do you say it? Like an idea workshop mentality, Like
Yeah, and it's
just
also
let
it's just
people
there's so many
speak
assumptions
freely.
underneath it that all people have equal capabilities to even engage with a free market or even ideas, all that sort of stuff. That people are all talking with each other in good faith, which is just BS. We know that's BS.
Well, this is
And
John
second,
Stuart Mill. John Stuart Mill was like, that's basically his argument, like the whole free market
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
And like,
and
there's no point in restricting speech, because if you restrict speech, because if you let all speech go, the good ideas will win and the bad ideas will lose. And there's a kind of
yeah.
like the predetermined sort of metaphysics to that. I'm not saying that's totally wrong, but
No,
it's
I
simple.
have as a
Simple.
yeah. I think this is my rightism, but I have some sympathy with that, and the reason why I have sympathy with it is because I think that kind of works. That kind of describes what's going on if everyone is coming from the context of Western thought and philosophy. So basically, if everyone's ethnos and culture is European, and I also suspect that everyone's morals have to be Christian for that to work.
Yeah, there probably is a certain sort of axiomatic to kind of get into your book, the kind of axiomatic
Yeah, and actually,
basis. There probably
maybe
has to
it's
be some similar basis to that
yeah, maybe
for that
it's
actually
true that
does
you
work.
could replace the axioms with some different set of axioms, and within the context, within those assumptions, it could also kind of work in that framework. Like, but I think the issue is these people all come from a globalist, classical liberal, maybe even neoliberals perspective, where they assume that all people are just fungible units and have the same intentions and the same axioms, and it's just not true, basically.
Yeah, no, it's not true. Um, and that is the problem with someone like John Stuart Mills, is that like he's kind of arrogant, kind of Victorian attitude of like, oh look, it's kind of civilized, well-educated Brits, and
Yes.
that's the position the world is coming from, and
Yeah.
it's like, did you forget about the 30 Years' War? Did you forget about the British Civil War? I mean, those were debates over like the axiomatic
No,
principles.
no, you all just sit down like educated chaps in the
Yeah,
smoking room with your cigars and a glass of whiskey, and we all just have a nice friendly discussion and decide what we're going to do.
well,
We decide how we're going to draw the borders on the map of Africa together.
a rational discussion of how we're how we're going to annex your continent,
And we
which
rationally
which won't
decided
involve
that we were going to
you.
get. We rationally decided we were going to get a big ruler and draw straight lines all over the USA and Africa, and that was going to be the borders.
Yeah, and and it's not going to involve the people living there. But yeah, because if it did involve people living there, they'd probably like they wouldn't have this conversation with you. They'd probably just like treat the fact that you think you have the right to do that as proof that you're their enemy, and then the friend enemy distinction would be immediately drawn. So, you know, eh, yeah, you have this kind of stupidity and this arrogance, which I think is really part and parcel of that Victorian era. Around when a lot of that kind of globalized liberal u- universality, because I'm sympathetic towards like kind of a lot of the liberal ideas which would have emerged kind of organically within maybe not organically, but you know what I mean, within more provincial areas, kind of more locally. I can see the benefit to some of these classical liberal values there, but when they start expanding, kind of, and getting all universal and thinking that this is like some sort of universal principle by which we can all decide things by, that's when it starts to get a little bit problematic. So I would say that the people you're talking about are and actually it reminds me, because one thing, like, I always call him Len Friedman. I don't know why. One thing
Lenny